was interesting. I didn't really know what to expect. I had done so much prep work, and so I was curious how she was going to be with me, and I truly did not know how she was going to act. I was prepared for it to go any direction, and I prepped as many questions as I could. Why is she choosing to represent herself? Does she still love her kids? Does she believe she can convince a jury to find her not guilty? All of these questions were part of our interview. Opening statements in the trial begin Monday morning, so I want to share part of our interview where she addresses her choices for this trial and her demeanor in the courtroom. Why did you decide to represent yourself at this trial?
There's lots of reasons. Obviously, being pro per is not an easy job. I'm not an attorney. I don't have training to be an attorney. There's something that I figured out when I got to this jail. You know, this experience has been 5 years running, okay? I went through a whole trial, you know, before in my other state, and then I was brought here to Arizona to face some more serious charges.
To your point, you're not an attorney.
Correct.
You know your case, but
Yes.
you're not an attorney.
Correct.
How do you expect this is going to work for you next week and in these months to come, acting as your own lawyer?
I have help. I have a wonderful team that I got to hire, which is great. I have my paralegal, that's wonderful. I have my investigator. I have my advisory counsel that helps me. I'm just gonna do the best that I can. That's all I can do.
I've been in the courtroom for some of this, and then I've watched it as well. When you're addressing the judge in the state, you can get a little snappy with them, and I know you're upset with what you feel as witnesses that are being precluded from the trial. What's your biggest complaint? What do you want to see happen? And is that the tone that you want to take throughout this trial?
I don't think that I'm trying to set a tone. That's not my intention, is to set a tone. And I'm not a fighter, okay? So my whole life I've been a peacemaker. I'm a person that loves everybody. I'm a person that gets along with everybody. I don't like to fight. So this is a challenge for me to even fight for myself.
There's this notion from people in the public that feel you're representing yourself because you have nothing to lose, that this is a challenge, kind of a show, a game for you. Do you agree with that?
I never hear any of this stuff because I'm in a room 23 hours a day and we don't have any access to any kind of news. So, or any kind of anything really. So I didn't know that people were saying that, but I wouldn't agree with that, obviously.
What's your mindset going into trial? What do you believe now, and how do you feel as we're just a couple days away?
A little bit stressed.
It's a big case.
It's a big case. It's stressful. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of legal things that have to be done. We're working on stuff every day. We're working late into the night. The biggest challenge for me in this trial will be the logistics. That is just part of our half-hour interview, and coming up at 5, what she has to say about her murder convictions for the death of her children, Tylee Ryan and JJ Vallow. Does she really believe in dark and light spirits? And her answer to why she threw away a seemingly perfect life, you guys.
I know that you said, and understandably so, that you don't know what to expect walking in there, right? So when she walked in and she sat down, what was the mood?
You know, she was actually pretty friendly with us, and I really didn't know what to expect. I think so many people watched the Dateline interview with her. That was the first time I really heard her, and I don't think she liked how she ended up coming across in that interview. I felt that this was a very different tone in my interview with her than what we saw before, and some of this I've seen in the courtroom too. She kind of wants to prove that she's done the research on her own case. She means business when she's in the courtroom, and she seemed to be pretty open to the questions that I was asking. She also feels that the jail conditions are not good, and she's kind of taken on this purpose to fight for better jail conditions for women that are in there for a long time before they even get to their trial. So she was talking a little bit about that as well, but I did not know what to expect, and I'll be honest, I was pretty nervous.
Walk us through the behind the scenes on how you got this interview, because I'm sure a lot of stations would have liked to have sat down with her. Why did she agree to do this?
People that work with her team actually reached out to me and said that they had watched our work for years and asked if I would be interested in interviewing her. She wanted to tell her side of the story. Her trial's in a few days, and I said, of course, we obviously want to hear from her ahead of this trial and in general. And there are so many questions. I mean, this case is huge. It's one of the most recognizable in the nation. And so when I made that contact with an attorney that I that reached out to me on this.
Right.
She really liked the True Crime Arizona work and said, if we're going to have her talk to anybody, we'd like it to be you. And so obviously I was going to make sure I was prepared for that.
Right. It'll be very interesting to see how this is moving forward. To your point and your comment in that interview, you had told her you are snappy. We have seen you in court. So moving forward, I'm interested to see her demeanor as the days, possibly weeks, progress.
And most of that, when she's been snappy, was before the jury was selected. So there was nobody else in the courtroom. But the second you have that jury there and you have the courtroom full of people, will that demeanor change? I'm not sure.
All right.
Time
We'll
will
find
tell.
out on Monday.
A lot more coming up at 5 and 6.
Wonderful.
All right.
Thank you, Briana. And make sure you tune in to Arizona's Family next week as we bring you coverage of Lori Vallow Daybell's trial. Our streaming coverage begins at 10:30 Monday morning on azfamily.com, as well as our